Now that I've gotten a storm of replies not defending anything from Splatoon 2's new headset, we're here. Hello there everybody, this is CwapTheNintendin here, and welcome to another episode of Platinum Impressions. Today, we are going to be talking about Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of the Liberty for systems. But I got the HD version because that's the way I play things. Aha. Okay, before I go into, well, what I heard about this game before I decided to play it, I'm gonna stress this right now. Play Metal Gear Solid 1 before even thinking about tackling MGS2. You are going to need that extra package of experiencing the first game because the plot demands that you do. No, seriously, it does. Just throwing that out there right now. Do it. Anywho, Metal Gear Solid 2, this is the one that I've actually heard the least about. Now, I've heard about MGS 1, 3, 4, and 5 plenty about before even starting, this whole Metal Gear journey, but MGS 2 I barely heard anything about outside of, the Yell Dead Cell track that I first heard of in Brawl, as well as several trophies having to do with the game. But I've forgotten about those trophies, so yeah, it's been years since I played Brawl. But right before I started my playthrough, I caught one of that certain controversial change that happened only about 2 hours in. I mean, in the back of my mind, I was sort of worried about that, but at the same time, I've heard plenty of, high opinions about Metal Gear Solid 2, not deserving the quote-unquote hate, I guess, that it deserved. I don't know. I haven't really heard any given opinions on MGS2 before even starting tackling it, so I sat down, went through cutscenes that were about 20 minutes long at points, and I eventually played it. In the end, I think I came out satisfied with what I played. I mean, I may have a few issues here and there, but it's good. It is good game. But now it's time to start tackling that story, which I'm going to be spending the most time on. So, here is a spoiler alert timestamp because I simply cannot talk about this game without spoiling some plot. I have written so many words on this script already that I couldn't possibly leave, any, given details about the new story out. So, yeah, I just can't talk about this game without spoiling at least something in the plot. So, go ahead to that timestamp right now if you only want to see my thoughts on the gameplay. The year is 2007. 2 years after Shadow Moses, Snake and Otacon are now part of a UN-recognized group called however you pronounce that, Philanthropy, which aims to rid the world of the Metal Gear threat, or at least Metal Gears in general. They discover that a tanker called the Discovery is holding a new type of Metal Gear called Ray, and Snake is sent in to investigate. Snake and Otacon catch wind that everyone and everywhere in the world has its own version of Metal Gear, thanks to Revolver Ocelot leaking information of Metal Gear Rex to the globe. See? MGS1 connections already. See? You need to play that in order to understand what's happening. Soon after Snake's arrival on the tanker, Russian terrorists led by Gorlukovich, Ocelot's contact mentioned in MGS1, yet another connection, take the Marine-controlled tanker hostage. And Snake does his usual thing of sneaking past everything and everyone. Eventually, Snake finds the new Metal Gear model and sends pictures of it to Otacon to expose the world to Ray's existence. But before the job could be done, Ocelot shows up and surprisingly kills his ally Gorlukovich and the Marine commander, saying that he wasn't in league with the Russians, but the mysterious Patriots. Snake attempts to stop him, but an interesting reaction from Ocelot's newly attached right arm comes up and it's revealed that Liquid Snake still lives through Ocelot's arm. Okay. I mean, it happens. It's a Metal Gear game. What do you expect? Using Ray, Liquid destroys the tanker, and Snake is left for dead. And we now cut to 2 years later in 2009. Foxhound is back in operation with a new soldier called Snake. Raiden. Yeah, you all thought you were playing as Snake the entire game? Well, wrongo. Foxhound gets wind of a hostage situation happening in a big facility near New York, known as Big Shell, and sends in Raiden to rescue the hostages, one of them being the President of the United States. Behind this hostage crisis is a terrorist organization calling itself Dead Cell, with their aims being $30 million in cash, and they are being led by a man claiming to be Solid Snake. Assisting Raiden, aka Jack, is the returning Colonel Roy Campbell and newcomer Rosemary, who the game doesn't let you wanna forget is Raiden's girlfriend, assigned to the mission at the very last second. And so, with VR training under his belt, Raiden infiltrates the Big Shell along with the SEAL team that has a very familiar Snake lookalike voiced by David Hayter, and they attempt to rescue the president and discover Dead Cell's true intentions. And that's all you need to know. Actually, it isn't, because I put that spoiler timestamp on there for a very big reason. This game's plot goes deep. I mean, holy shit. How did we go from a story about a man trying to stop a nuclear death weapon to a deep complex plot about digital information being censored, social and political commentary, and the like? I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, don't get me wrong, the story is still very engaging like it always is. But Jesus. I can definitely see why people like to call Metal Gear Solid 2 the mindfuck game, because by the time the credits end, you are going to need some time for everything to sink in, like that whole plot dump to sink in. Like, seriously, you're going to need some time. Because of that, I honestly do not recommend Metal Gear Solid 2 as a jumping point into the series, as it makes it very clear from the beginning that it is indeed a sequel. It's like I said before, you need to play MGS1 to completely understand what's going on, as it actually does have some overall theming into the overall plot. So now let's talk about that whole bait and switch thing I mentioned earlier, because even the game's opening credits before the title sequence lies. Just when you think you're going to play as Snake the whole time, he's left for dead, so you know what? You only get to play him for about 2 hours, and then you spend the rest of the game playing as Quentin Flynn, who surprisingly is Axel in Kingdom Hearts now that I think about it. He's a guy who's been seriously, and I mean seriously, been trained in Metal Gear Solid VR missions, and he is pretty much a nerdier and admittedly lamer version of Snake. I feel like his character is all over the place as well. Like, one moment, he could seem like a totally likable guy, and then the next, his performance tells you otherwise. Like, his voice performance goes all over the place. Like, Quentin Flynn, I like the guy, but man, this is really prevalent when you save your data with Rose, because, oh my god. Okay, let's talk about this. So, Jack's girlfriend, Rose, who I'm referring to as Jack from now on when I talk about Jack and Rose, or Raiden and Rose, excuse me. It's been made very clear that she's been assigned to the mission at the last second, basically serving as the Mei Ling of the game when you want to save your data. But the number one problem with their dialogue is spelled out in their very first codec conversation. And let me remind everyone that their dialogue was written and penned by Kojima, who wrote Snake and Mei Ling's dialogue, and they were interesting and cute, but what do we get in its place? Jack, what day is it tomorrow? I don't know. Well then, I'll just stretch it out and call you at random moments. Ah! Why do I sound like... Okay, I'm gonna make it sound like Mickey Mouse. Well then, I'll just stretch it out, all out, and call you at random moments. Ah! To talk about other relationship. Tee-hee. Why you don't have sex with me? Ah! I make her sound like Mickey Mouse, which would make it more interesting than, you know, her character in general. Because you want to know what their romance is? It's the tired cliche romance of an anniversary date that nobody gives a shit about anymore, and thank God that cliche is going to be dead. Like, I just want to save, dude. And as nice as it was to hear about their first meeting and some character development for Raiden near the end, the rest of the dialogue just sucked. Unless they were getting some legit character development, like I said. They could have easily written around this, and I expected that, but it didn't happen, unfortunately. It just didn't happen. happen. They could have been like, Jack, do you know what day it is tomorrow? The day we first met? Good, now let me have some actual character. You know? Like, you know? That could have been easily written, but no. But no. But you know what? I'm actually going to talk about this one, because, oh my god, this just adds to my hatred for Rose. To be perfectly frank, even though I'm pretty damn sure it wouldn't even happen anyway. There's an escort section near the end of Big Shell, where you have to protect Otacon's stepsister, Emma, who was working on, you know, Metal Gear in stuff. And you know what? That was actually much more enjoyable. And despite the escort section not even being that bad, except for, you know, the sniper bit, I honestly found it much more enjoyable than Jack and Rose as a whole, because, you know, Raiden and Emma, they had actual chemistry. I mean, yeah, it was an escort mission, you know, that's the one thing that gamers don't want to hear. That's the one thing gamers don't want to hear, but Raiden and Emma, you know, they had some good moments together, you know. They had some good moments, they had actual characters, they were cute together, even though I'm pretty sure the age difference is huge. And what did they do? They kill her off, and my heart was filled with feels, and poor Otacon, man. That's like the emotional highlight of the game, man. But Jesus Christ. And you know, Emma's character could have been easily swapped with Rose, because, you know, I liked Emma as a character. She was adorable. She was basically Otacon, but, you know, as a girl. You know, that could have been easily Rose. And in fact, I like the moments when she's not in character, you know, when she's not stretching out the romance. In fact, if I could actually go into this little detail right here, Metal Gear Solid 2 has a lot of codec Easter eggs, and they are golden.
This reminds me of when we first met.
I was the one inside the locker that time. We're equal now, huh?
Not unless I wet my pants.
That's a low blow, Snake.
There's this one codec with Rose which you can trigger if you go into the woman's bathroom during Big Shell, and she calls you out on being a pervert if you called the Colonel beforehand. Raiden asks if he wants to save his data, and literally Rose is like, okay, yeah, sure. And then the option replacing save is, I won't let you save, and I died laughing at that. Just give me more of that, please. Give me more of that character instead of just, ooh, you're escorting a cute girl, you must like her more than me. Bitch, I am escorting her because she is important to the plot. Don't do that. Sorry, I just really hate that. Come on. I expected something along the lines of, you know, Snake and Mei Ling's character or chemistry, you know, given the fact that, you know, Raiden is basically, you know, the Snake for the rest of the game, and, you know, Rose is basically the Mei Ling of that, except minus the Chinese proverbs and more 100% the bitch. But, you know, yeah, I just don't like her at all. They could have had a good character, and, you know, when she's out of character is good, but when she's not in character it's bad, and I don't feel like I should do that. You know, like, over half of the story script was just me talking about how much I hate Rose, but I won't go into any more detail about that. So, yeah. Basically, coupled with the fact that you're basically reliving the events of, you know, Shadow Moses through Raiden's eyes, makes a whole lot of sense when it comes to talking about, you know, when it comes to fans not liking Raiden in Metal Gear Solid 2. I can sort of see that, I guess. I mean, the Jack and Rose dialogue is awful, and, you know, especially given some things I'll talk about later, I can honestly see why people don't really like playing as Raiden so much, but, you know, I don't mind. I mean, really, the only thing I really dislike is the Jack and Rose relationship, like I said, and the backtracking, which I'll get into later. Because, you know, otherwise, I'm okay with playing as Raiden, because he is literally another Snake in terms of gameplay. Speaking of which, yeah, it's time to talk about that gameplay, yo, which I don't even think I will, like, you know, go into any more detail like I have with the story. I mean, Jesus, I spent nearly, like, 5 minutes just talking about, you know, Jack and Rose's relationship as it was. There's been improvements since Metal Gear Solid 1, and they've actually been very serviceable this time around. This time, you can aim with all your handguns in first-person mode, making for easier aiming when it comes to taking out an enemy. So, you know, it's not just reserved for rocket launchers or Nikita missiles or whatever. Now, all of your weapons can have aiming in first-person mode. And a new gun was added to the fold, and it is the Tranquilizer. Just shoot someone in the head, and they feel asleep instantly. And no, that's not a typo, that's an actual thing that happens in the NES Metal Gear. Or, if you want an easier shot at them, you can now hold enemies at gunpoint. Hold them for long enough and, you know, just hold them at gunpoint in front of them, and they might start shaking their bodies, doing a little dance, relieving them of their dog tags for unlockables, or even sometimes actual weapons. Or not actual weapons, but actual rations, excuse me. You can break their radios to stop them calling for help, and then, boosh! Sleep. He was asking for it.
If you're going to shoot, then shoot me.
Enemies also wait a little bit before sounding the alarm, giving you some time to knock them out or at least tranquilize them, or kill them if you want. So yeah, they just spot you, they do the usual wing, and then they shoot you a little bit, then run away for a little bit, and then that's when they start calling for help. When you get spotted though, that's when you gotta book it and hide wherever you can, so that the alert and evasion phases can pass. But this time around, the caution phases was added, giving you an extra layer to worry about thanks to the increased security. In fact, the AI for this game is actually pretty damn competent this time for, you know, trying to spot you. Not only using sight and sound, but they can also even see your shadow sometimes. That's actually an incredible detail. In fact, if I could go into this game a lot, like, this game has a lot of detail. Like, you saw it in the footage, like, or at least you'll see in the footage, but during the tanker section, when you finally go inside the tanker and go into the room with the lockers where you get your first bundle of, you know, rations and weapons and junk, you actually see, you know, Snake's footprints leaving their marks, and I wouldn't be surprised if enemies found you out like that. Like, jeez, that's actually really good detail. Like, for the time this game had, you know, impressive detail, like, you can explode fruit in the pantry sections, you could shatter glass in, like, the crew's lounge area at the tanker. It's actually pretty damn good with all the detail. So, yeah, it's pretty good. Now, back to the whole caution phase. It is both a blessing and a curse, because while stealth is now much more important than it ever was in MGS1, the caution phase sometimes makes you wait more than a minute until it's safe to move on, and that kinda irks me. I hate to be that guy and quote Egoraptor, but when you get spotted more than 3 times in the same room during Big Shell, there is so much goddamn waiting. Like, I just want to get out of the room, dude. I've been in a box for more than 5 minutes. I want out. Like, I want out of there. Like, seriously, near the end of Big Shell, I got spotted, like, multiple times because I wanted to try to take the guy out, and I got spotted. And I was like, God damn it, I have to wait again. And after, like, more than 5 minutes, like, I was finally able to move on, but Jesus Christ. So, yeah. Moral of the story, do not get caught at all. Just don't. If you want the better rank in the game, then, you know, don't get caught. Raiden and Snake also come with a dash attack with Snake dodge rolling and Raiden cartwheeling. Not only does this make movement faster, but it can also take out enemies who are on the side of an edge like this poor soul is. Just look at this guy.
Who is that? It's the enemy. Ow!
Trust me when I say, when you're not watching cutscenes, some of them going up to over 20 minutes long, you're more than likely going to enjoy the advancements made to the formula since MGS1. But what does that mean when the big shell of hexagons is nearly all about backtracking? Pretty much every time you get a new security card level, you gotta backtrack to a strut to see what you can get. And new items you can get as well, and avoid danger and screw you strut F warehouse. Like, the backtracking in, you know, Big Shell gets really samey after a while, to be perfectly honest. And, you know, you have to do so much of that just going around, you know, each of the struts of Big Shell. and just take out enemies and defuse bombs or whatever else. Plus, there's the fact that the number of boss fights are actually radically reduced, and you don't really get much stronger from defeating bosses like you did in MGS1. But to be fair, you have like a load of life and a load of ammo and a load of rations that you can, you know, store, so yeah. The boss fights are pretty cool, I will admit, they are. Like, my favorite being, you know, Fat Man, part of Dead Cell. Like, he's such an enjoyable guy, I love him. I love him. He just rollerblades around the thing, just planting bombs, and you have to defuse them. And you actually have to take him out, or one of the ways you can take him out is by, you know, getting him in his legs, shooting him in the legs. Like, that took me a while to figure out, and I was like, oh, yeah. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. All that aside, like, the backtracking can go to hell. It really gets into your skin after a while, and I beat this game within a weekend. Like, within 3 days. Like, Jesus. Basically, all of that was just me backtracking to everywhere. And I mean everywhere. So despite this being a PS2 HD widescreen upgrade, MGS2 looks really great considering the jump from PS1 to PS2. There's a lot more environmental diversity going on, from a tanker to the big shell, where you're going to be spending most of your time outside and it's all colorful in the sunlight, and when it gets near the end, those sunsets are just, oh, they're gorgeous. They are gorgeous. Plus, I would actually compare the models to Final Fantasy X. You know, jumping from PS1 to PS2, their detail looks great. Like, Snake looks really good. Raiden looks really good. And, you know, static codec conversations aside, this game looks great. It really does. And, you know, once again, this game is shot very well, like a movie, you know, because Kojima is a film director and a movie director. Or, no, film director and a movie director. Game director, as well as a film director. Game film director. And some of those shots during those final moments of the story make it all the more engaging. The music is done by Harry Gregson Williams of Chicken Run and Shrek fame, cue the memes, and he manages to make a very different soundtrack compared to MGS1. It's more movie-like in a way, and it manages to make the major moments in the game all the more effective, especially those emotional highlights. Also, you'll low-key yell Dead Cell, baby! I love this track so much, as well as the ending theme, and, you know, certain other themes that I would talk about, but stuff. Brawl introduced me to Yell Dead Cell, and the track was glorious. You know? So musically, this game is very, very sound. It's really great. And, you know, there's also a lot of side things that you can do to unlock stuff, such as Snake Tales, where you can experience the entire game as Snake, missions with Raiden and Snake for alternate costumes, and 500 new VR missions. Good luck. But if you have Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance? Is it called Substance or Subsistence? Not Substance. Plus, if you have Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance for the PS2, you can get yourself an admittedly a cool little mode where you can skateboard around the big shell. And, you know, I saw a little bit of footage of that. It's basically Tony Hawk Pro Skater Metal Gear Edition. It's actually pretty damn cool, and I wish I had that version, but nope. I do not have a PS2. Actually, I do, but I don't know if it even works. Neither do I have Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance, so yeah. Metal Gear Solid 2 does improve on the MGS1 formula to a point where it becomes its own thing. Those improvements help the player tackle things in a brand new way and manages to keep them on their toes. And, you know, sure, Raiden is a different character, but he literally plays the exact same way as Snake. It's just the fact that they pull the bait and switch that, you know, people don't really like about playing as Raiden. Plus, you know, the backtracking and the Rose character, and, you know. But, you know, it's like I said, I don't mind playing as Raiden. I really don't. But regardless of whether or not you like playing as Raiden, you know, you're going to feel right at home with the improved gameplay from Metal Gear Solid 1. But because the story takes precedence over all other things and the amount of plot you have to take in, it can be very, very overwhelming. Just believe you me, it can be really overwhelming In some cases, cutscenes can go on for about 20 minutes, and in one case near the end of the game, over 30 minutes. Good luck with that. So you better sit your ass down, go to the bathroom, make yourself a sandwich, and soak in all that story that Kojima wants to tell you. But, in all fairness, if you like Metal Gear Solid's way of engaging the player into its world and story, it's pretty much the same case here, minus the obvious love shack that is Raiden and Rose. If I had to choose between the two, though, I still prefer Metal Gear Solid 1 to 2, simply because there's, better character in there and far less backtracking, and, far less annoying things about Metal Gear Solid 2. So in short, Metal Gear Solid 2 may not be a good jumping point into the Metal Gear series, but hey, if you have MGS1 under your belt, then you're going to have yourself a great, if not different, Metal Gear Solid experience. But hey, that's just me. Who am I to change opinions about, anything, am I right? So yeah, that is Metal Gear Solid 2. Great game, and, great game. So with all that being said, oh boy. I don't know whether or not I should, just go directly into Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, because that's what people tell me is the best one, and, that kind of makes me worried that I might not like it as much, so I'm gonna have to play, another game just to get all that settled in before I even start Snake Eater, because, let's face it, Metal Gear Solid 2 was a lot to take in terms of its plot, so yeah, who knows if I'm going to play MGS3 right away, or just play another game entirely, so who knows. But either way, that's it. I will see you guys next time for another episode of Platinum Impressions. So see you guys on the next time. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.